playing lessons from the pros, an intimate guided tour at how the best players in the world play this great game.
Whisper Rock here, North Scottsdale, probably one of Scottsdale's best new places. A lot of us are members out here, the guys who play on tour, and a lot of low handicap golfers here. This is all about golf, this place. I mean, it's a dream come true to grow up in Australia and then you get to play golf for a living and be a member of a place like this. When I'm not playing golf for a living, I'm here having fun. It's pretty good. I always use the same clubs. Okay. It's always one of my wedges. Well, it's always one of my wedges. I don't hit my same wedge every day because it wears it out too quick if you 50 shots for the same wedge every day. So it'll vary between a sand wedge and a pitching wedge. Straight to a 5-iron and a 3-wood driver and done. Now I mean, that covers all the swings you're going to make, you know. Some guys hit the whole bag, but I don't like to warm up too long because I start messing with my golf swing too much and that never turns out well.
So before you leave, you go back to the wedge. Are you into sort of swing thoughts, things you bring with you that you take from here?
I used to be. But, well, I guess so. I mean, I guess I used to. I think where I went wrong is I go to the range trying to make it feel a certain way, because if it felt good the day before, you want it to feel the same way today. But it doesn't work like that, you know. So sometimes it does. Sometimes a feel will hang around for a few days, but it never hangs around very long, especially good ones. They seem to disappear quick. And in the old days, I'd try to chase that old feel for, I mean, it could be a month. You know, it felt great that day, so why can't I make it feel like that again? But I mean, every day you wake up, you're going to feel different. It's going to be different. It's never going to feel the same. So now I'm more about hitting balls. Okay, that's how it feels today. Let's play with that feel, you know, like more about, almost try to be an observer rather than a participant, you know what I mean? Just observe how it feels when I'm playing today, because it's going to feel different every day, so you can't make it feel a certain way. It's going to feel how it feels. So I just try to pay attention to that, you know. Some days it works and some days it doesn't, but more days have been good since I've been letting it feel how it wants to feel, you know. So that's all I'm doing, just seeing how it feels, you know. Should be fine, I guess. There's probably a little bit of a false front on the screen, so the 130 might be a little bit misleading. It might be 131 to get past that. And when we're at wedge and 9-iron yardages, 1 yard's quite important. And when you're back at a 5-iron, I can't. 192 or 193 doesn't make a difference. I mean, it's more like 4 or 5 yard increments, but had a 9-iron or a wedge, that's important. So, I mean, 131's probably the real front, and then 5 or 6, you know. It's just being aware of the bad spots, yardage-wise, and trying to choose a club or hit a shot that avoids that, for me anyway. You know, if the pin's up the front and all the trouble's short, maybe you'll pick a club that you don't have to hit really hard to get past the front of the green, you know, to make sure you miss that bit. And if the trouble's all at the back, then there's no need to hit it all the way to pin high. I mean, you could hit one 5 yards short of the pin with your best shot, and just to make sure, because long term it's all about how good your misses are, aren't they? Everyone's good shots close to the hole, and everyone makes birdie with their good shots. It's just maximising your chances if one doesn't quite go how you want it. So 136 early morning 9-iron probably, I think. A bit to the right. Not too bad though, I don't think. And not very fast. Oh well, first part of the day.
Yeah, we didn't get to that putting green, did we?
Alright. Better next time. 210. Which would normally be a 4-iron probably, but because we're downhill, that kind of turns it into a 5, and we're in North Scottsdale in summer, so that turns it into a 6, because the ball, I mean, it's probably only going to play 190 yards or something, and this green, it slopes away from you, so it's going to hit and roll. Feels like I'm going to have to hit it pretty good, but we'll see. It's a 5 or a 6, we'll try the 6. Well, it's definitely high. It's on the green. 25, 30 feet, something. Good result from 210.
It seems to be like 2 or 3 ways to aim. What's your...
I don't pick an intermediate target. I did that for a while, and I feel like that I start thinking about the intermediate target, not where I'm trying to hit it. You know, forever when I hit golf balls, I put clubs down and the whole production on the range. So like I thought, well, how could you go wrong? If you do that every day, you'll be fine. And I struggle with my alignment all the time. I mean, I tell myself where I want to hit the ball and then just let my body stand where it wants to stand to hit it there. The only thing I specifically do is make the ball directly between me and my finishing target, you know, like if I stand off to the right-hand side or the left-hand side, if I stand over this way and the ball's over there, I end up aiming it right, because I walk in at that angle. If I stand over this side, I end up aiming it to the left. And it's funny, if I really, really want to hit a pronounced fade or slice, I end up walking in from over here, because that helps me instinctively. I didn't do it on purpose, it's just the way it happens. It's kind of, I stand behind the line I want the ball to start at. And the less I've consciously tried to place myself in line, the better it's been. I mean, it's silly. I mean, this game, it's the harder you try to make it right, the worse it is. You know, it's weird. The less I try, you know, the more I just let the part of my brain and my body that actually really knows what it's doing, but I don't think it does. The more I trust that and give that its due and say, hey, I'll give you a chance here. It actually, for the most part, my instinct is much right. It's much smarter, better at golf than I am, you know. Just got to get out of his way.
Coming up.
If I practice a lot of chipping, especially like chip and runs and stuff, my golf swing improves.
And later.
And if I'm going into the ball thinking about much more than that, bad things usually happen. People say that they like my rhythm, you know what I mean? My rhythm is my rhythm, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure Ernie Els probably feels like he swings it fast, but to us it looks slow, you know what I mean? Fred Couples' rhythm might feel rigid and stiff to him. Look at my golf swing on video and realise that what I thought I was doing and what I was actually doing is just the exact opposite, you know? You think you're doing something, it's just depressing when you think you know what you're doing and you think you know about your golf swing, you do something and it's not right. But so I really do. I don't look at my swing video at all anymore, to the point where I won't even, if it's on TV in the background or something, I just don't want to know. If I practice a lot of chipping, especially like chip and runs and stuff, my golf swing improves, because it's just it's on plane, it's a little full swing. And with chipping, you're working on impact. Contact is it's such a key thing in chipping, and you end up with a really great, if you chip for enough time, you end up with a great impact position if you're chipping the right way. And if you've got a great impact position there, believe it or not, I mean, that for me helps my full swing. The whole goal was to get it to come out the same every time. And it's a much squarer to it now. It used to be very open. I'm much squarer. I mean, there's even guys who, I mean, Stan Utley's a big proponent for almost being closed, you know what I mean, which was a good thing, and I worked on that a little bit, just as like a bit of a practice thing, because that helps with the release kind of feel, you know, which is the exact opposite of what you think you want to do. You think when you hear all this stuff about be open and cut across it and stuff, look, for some that might work, but it doesn't work for me. And it was, I guess, long term hurting my golf swing as well. If I practice a lot of chipping like that, my full swing would get that way. So if I practice the right things chipping, it tends to work out better for everything. I'll just try to aim it out in the middle of the green, left of the pin, and swing along my feet line with an open club face and fade it. I mean, that's not what's going through my head when I'm doing it, but that's what I'm doing, you know. So aim it out in the safe part of the green, because it's a long, hard par 4. I mean, if you can get any sort of 20, 25 footer or something for a birdie, that's a good result. I mean, tournaments aren't won with birdies on these holes, they're lost with bogeys and doubles on holes like this, so we just hit it in the middle of the green and see how we go. A little too much in the middle of the green, but not much fade. Well, I mean, what else do you say about Vegemite? It's the best stuff in the world. It's good for you too, huh?
Sure.
Better than eating peanut butter or any of that stuff, so it's an acquired taste. If I had to pick one thing, it's my football though. The Australian rules football it's hard to get much of it over here, and that's every weekend in winter. That's where I'm at, is the football. So I mean, I miss that. For about the last 3 or 4 years, I made sure I just had the nice stable base and ball position all right and stuff. It's been a gradual, it's a work in progress. It's pretty hard to compete when you're not putting well, unless you're Vijay Singh. But it's an easy 4 and the hardest hole on the course.
As your playing lesson continues,
So you walk off the 18th green on Sunday, you're like, can't I just play again tomorrow, you know? Okay, 552 par 5, up a hill. This tee shot, to my eye, looks like it needs to go left to right, because there's a kind of a short bunker on the right and a long bunker on the left, so it kind of looks like you want to. Now, in a hit and giggle round like this, I'll do that, but in the tournament, I don't know if again, I'll just end up hitting what I'm comfortable with. Some weeks that's a fade off the tee, some weeks it's a draw, but right now, I'll see if I can hit the fade and see how it goes. Worked out all right. So I knew I was going to do that, I'd do it every time. Again, it's a feel thing. I'll set up, I'll walk in from a little bit from kind of where I want it to start, I guess. I aim my feet to the left, the club face is a little bit open, and I make sure I swing along my feet line and it makes it fade. That's what I do. I don't think about that when I play, I just feel a fade, to be honest with you. And when you feel a fade, I tend to get that way, and it feels like a fade from setup. It's not like I set it up and then try to make the swing feel like a fade. I mean, if it doesn't feel like a fade before I hit it, it's not going to fade, you know what I mean? So that's what I do. And my body's a little bit to the left, my club face is probably open a little bit. I mean, this is all fractions with a driver, because if it's going 300 yards, it don't have to be much to make it move a lot. So that's what I do. I try to feel the fade. And this is going to be at my limit, uphill 270 yards. I guess paying the price of fade, I probably didn't need to fade the tee shot because I wouldn't have run it through on the left, but I guess another one of those discretion is a better part of it. I mean, make sure, you really want to have a chance of this. I mean, I'm not going to be able to get it back to the pin, but I should be able to get it round the green. And if you round the green in a par 5 and 2, you're going to make a lot of birdies. If I drive it in the bunker or in the rough or something, I'm laying it up. I'm hitting a full wedge, which we're going to make some birdies, but you're nowhere near as good as a full wedge that I am around the green. If I can hit it around the green on most, unless there's water or out of bounds or something, and if I can hit it around the green in par 5, I'm better off, so. Well, I kind of faded it anyway. So I tried to hit the big one and I hit the safe one. But went a long way, so on the green in 2 and a par 5. Every time you play a major, you're playing a great golf course. I mean, last St Andrews is probably one of my favourite places last year. I mean, that's one of those tournaments where you finish 72 holes and you're annoyed because they don't let you get, you're not allowed to go and play again, you know, for 5 years. That one's annoying. Same as Augusta, you walk off the 18th green on Sunday, you're like, can't I just play again tomorrow, you know? Again, well, looks like it wants to go a little bit to the right, which is actually against the valley, but this green is actually quite severe break, and we're uphill, so eagle putts are always nice. Just trying to hit a good putt and have a bonus if it goes in. Ah! Didn't hit it. Tap ins for birdie are always good though, huh? This year at the match play, I had a ridiculous putting week. I think I had 6 or 7 putts during the week of 6 feet or between 6 feet and 10 feet that if I didn't make, I was shaking hands. And I made every one of them, which is ridiculous. You don't do that. So, I mean, I guess the guy who wins the match play every year does that, you know. That's why the match play is such a good tournament to play well in. Because it's like 6 days in a row. Well, I got lucky because, I went extra holes the first 3 rounds. And that's like going a sudden death playoff in a golf tournament 3 days in a row. I mean, you don't get experience. It might take you a whole year to get like under the gun clutch situations like that. I had 3 in 3 days, you know. So I mean, confidence just grew every day. And if you make a couple of putts that you need to make, that you downhill left to right 6 feet, you make it or you're going back to the clubhouse, you know. You make a couple of those, all of a sudden they seem a little easier the next time, you know. You feel a little bit better about them the next time. Have to drive the green, 300 yards. All I do is you work out where your miss needs to be, and this one doesn't really have a lot of good misses. Maybe short right's a good miss. Left of the pin's really a long way left, so you're not going to get it up and down from over there. Target becomes about 30 feet right of the pin up here. It's going to bounce in from the right, so the main thing I think about when I'm hitting it is where I want the ball to finish. And if I'm going into the ball thinking about much more than that, bad things usually happen. So I mean, if that's my target, I've got a little spot in the rocks back there, which is quite easy to pick a target here because we've got rocks everywhere. That went at my target. Hopefully it's the right distance. Too much. No real tricks to these desert shots, it's just try to move the big stones out of the way. A bit unpredictable with all the rocks, but we'll see how we go. Not great, not bad. But if I wasn't in Arizona, I'd say this is a dead straight putt, but I think because of the valley effect, it might want to go that way, but again, I mean, I'll decide that when I stand over the ball, because whenever I find myself struggling with a line, trying to really bust to try to kind of really got a clue, it ends up being a straight putt, which makes sense, you know, you really don't know which way you want it to go, and it ends up being a straight putt. This, to me, has got that look to it, so we'll see how we go. I mean, aiming on the straight putt is very hard. I guess it sounds silly, but you got less margin for error on a straight putt. It has to be straight, you know. But it worked out. So Brad Faxon, the best putter out on tour, basically he says he doesn't care if he makes it. He strokes it like he doesn't care if he makes it or misses it. You know, I think that's the best way to pre-accept a miss or a make before you hit the putt. Makes it a lot easier to hit the putt. You know, I mean, if you're all stressed about making it, or am I going to make it, or am I going to miss it? I mean, that's something that doesn't need to be thought about when you're putting. You know, so he's obviously probably the best putter over the last 20 years. He's got the best attitude about it. I try to do that sort of stuff. It's actually not as downhill as it looks, but it's got that real feel like it's down a big hill. We have a few times I 11 at Castle Pines is a classic. I always feel like I want to hit it low, because the ball up in the air, it seems like it can do anything on it down. And you've got to, like here I've got an 8 iron, 166 down a hill. I really feel like I have to be hitting it hard to hit it well. Sometimes you feel like you really want to go at it. And if that's one of those days, I'm going to want to choke down on it. So, but today I feel like I just want to just go a little bit easy. I mean, not crazy easy, but just take about 5 yards off a full one, probably. And hit it thin, but it's going to work out. Wow, firm green, but it's pretty good for me on a downhill par 3. I mean, physically, I'm a more consistent player than I was. Every year I've been a little bit better. I drive it a little bit better. My irons are a little bit better. I mean, I do everything just a little bit better. But psychologically, I mean, there's the acceptance and the patience is getting better every day. Acceptance of bad shots is probably my biggest improvement, but...
Were you a hothead?
I had my moments, but no, actually, no doubt. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. Yeah, I was terrible for a while, but which is I don't think is that bad if as long as it doesn't affect what you do the next shot. I mean, Tiger can be one of the angriest guys on tour, you know, but you've never seen his anger affect his next shot. You know, it's gone. You can have a great tournament for 72 holes. You can hit 50 bad shots and have a good tournament, you know, because if your bad shots are okay and you accept them well enough and you can get out of trouble pretty well, and the more you come to realise every shot doesn't have to be perfect, the easier it is to accept a bad one, you know. It's not the end of the world. I guess I'm getting better at that.